Hey, okay.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to be back playing for you live here at 10:30 p.m. on Saturday night in the West Village. And I'll just start. just let it fade out into interstellar space. The overture to The Flying Dutchman by Richard Wagner. I just finished a really pretty good book by Jeff Dyer. It's yet another book of essays, and he goes deeply into a little bit about the Nietzsche-Wagner connection, and definitely worth picking up and reading. But what I'm about to tackle is something I lugged this around on the last tour. I got this in London, but took it to 5 countries, and hand carried it so as to avoid paying overweight on my suitcases. It's Francis Bacon Revelations, a definitive biography by Mark Stevens and Emmeline Swan. I'm a Bacon fan, and I've read many books devoted to the subject, including Conversations with Francis Bacon. It's quite good. Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of meditating on various books that I brought back on this last tour. All of them really good. I'd kind of much rather read than watch TV, although right now TCM is showing Belle de Jour by Louis Buñuel, late Buñuel, and quite a great film from 1967, which I recall seeing in the one supposed adult cinema back in Syracuse where I was growing up, the Westcott Theater. That's where all the foreign films would pretty much play. They were kind of ghetto-wise there, but this has a reputation for being a racy film with Catherine Deneuve and Michel Piccoli, really great international cast, Pierre Clementi, and it's quite good. But to me, what was really funny was I watched the intro right now with Jacqueline Stewart on TCM, and a guy representing, I guess, a black fashion aesthetic. But pretty much it was a fashion rubric that was used to couch the showing of the film. Nothing was really said about Buñuel or the source material from this great film. And I guess whatever gets you through the night, or whatever would transpire to hook people into watching this film, which probably didn't need any introduction whatsoever. But I just thought it was humorous that they were talking about the fact that Yves Saint Laurent had done the costumes for Catherine Deneuve and got credited. And, I could have used a little bit more about Buñuel, frankly, but anyway, I'm already partial on the film. So I'm going to cut this short because I wanted to see the screening, although I do have it on Blu-ray here. And, as you know, I'm a film buff. So I would also point your attention to the website culturecatch.com, who just published a memoir, another ongoing chapter concerning a horror film society that I ran at Yale University for 3-4 years with my partner in crime, Bill Moseley, who I just saw out in LA when I was playing at the Peppermint Club. Bill showed up and we had a great reunion. He very faithfully comes to my shows when I play in LA, and there he was. Always good to see Bill. And anyway, we had this thing going, and it was quite a going concern back in the day. Insofar as it was kind of an alternative to studying, under the aegis of a horror film society every Tuesday at midnight. Sometimes Wednesday one year, so we had to switch to Wednesdays. But we had our faithful flock that would come repeatedly to screenings and let off all sorts of tension. All sorts of tension. And anyway, I don't want to spoil the fun, but you should read this. It's called "They Can't Believe He's Risen Again." And I don't want to say too much more about it, although it did inspire an early song of mine, an early Gods and Monsters song of mine, of the same title, which you could find on the album Bad Boys of the Arctic. Speaking of which, please check out the Downtown Music Gallery, because beginning early next week, they're getting a carton or two or three of both CD versions and vinyl versions, double vinyl versions of a record that I made in Rome for Ezra Disco a couple of years ago with a great singer, the Nero, Davide Combosti and Francesco Arpino, and a bunch of excellent Italian musicians, and the title is The Complete Jeff Buckley and Gary Lucas Songbook. I pointed out to you, it is rather timely because, hey, what do you know, there's a new doc that just opened up nationwide, I guess. It's playing not far from here at the Film Forum in the West Village, all about the making of the song Hallelujah and how it has become anointed as, an anthem fit for playing at football games, bar mitzvahs, brisses, what have you, although, there being so many verses originally written by its author, Leonard Cohen, I'm a Leonard Cohen fan, that's for sure. I think there were originally over 100 verses, and so the ones that survived are probably best known in Jeff Buckley's version, which is on the Grace album. So we'll see if this kicks up download sales on the record. Well, I hope so, of course. But I think, as before, this was at one point, Jeff's version became very well known, not only in this country, but in the UK, because of it being sung on, I think it was a Pop Idol show, and it sent everybody to investigate the Grace album. And what do you know? They'd find the track and maybe pay for a download, and then some of them might have even pressed buy album, that button, because I did see a significant bump up in royalties over a couple of pay periods of accounting, let's say, from Universal Music, who own half of the copyright of Grace and Mojo Pin, probably my two best known songs, which I co-wrote with Jeff. Anyway, we shall see. But in any case, if you're a fan of Hallelujah, and who is not, I would say you can't really be unaware of the existence of this song, Living on Earth. Maybe you can. I don't know. I resisted learning how to play it for years. I refused, insisting upon just playing the songs that I had co-authored with Jeff. But eventually, I think for a tour of Australia 5 or 6 years ago, that was under the rubric State of Grace. That was a fun tour that took us to play in 6 cities in front of several thousand people in total, in some great locations like the Enmore Theatre in Sydney, and anyway, a great tour with some great artists such as Martha Wainwright and Steve Kilby from the Church and some other fine singers. For that, I learned that I broke down and learned Hallelujah in more or less Jeff's style of his, where did I read this in the New Yorker today? Oh, his arpeggiated flourishes. Anyway, always fun to play now, and I can do it pretty much in any key for the occasion of whatever singers I happen to coerce or draft into working with me. And I want to say thank you again to Angelica Zolo, who sang with me in LA, and now she's going to do it again at the Cutting Room on July 22nd, I think it is. I'm doing my tribute to Jeff Buckley at this fine establishment on the Upper East Side, the Cutting Room. And Angelica has really gotten inside these songs in a major way. So she was a pleasure to be working with. It was great to play in LA. What can I tell you? Did I mention this? I don't know. I guess this is the first live stream I've done in a couple of weeks, I think, since my birthday. But yeah, it was a fun show. Always like coming into LA. Well, the highlights was going to Pink's hot dogs for me before the show. I can't really come into the city without paying a visit to Pink's, but I did see a lot of old friends who live in LA at the show. Roy Trakin, thank you. Always great to see you. Uh, and I mentioned Bill Mosley and some other folks. Erica Sanz, who I met for the first time, who's a great young singer based out there in LA. She was there. And a fun, splendid time was had by all at the Peppermint Club. So, anyway, hope to be seeing you the next tribute that I do. I'm booking some more internationally till the end of the year. There are a few more pending. I don't want to announce yet until all the ink is dry on these contracts, but they will take me hither and yon, including I'm going to do a performance in Havana. Oh, probably when the weather gets cold here. I'm talking late November, early December, around the time of the Havana Jazz Festival. I'm going to be playing at one of my favorite places to play in the world, which is the Gaia Art Center in Havana Vieja, Old Havana, run by my friend Esther Cardozo. And we'll see who I'll be working with. Hopefully Heide Milanez, or Esther's sister, who's also quite a good jazz singer, Denai Blanco. I've worked with both these ladies. They're superb. And Heide had the pleasure of hosting, well, with the help of my friend Sebastian Doggart. She flew to New York when I did a tribute to Jeff at the Knitting Factory after they had moved out to, let's see, where did we do this? I have to think hard about this one. It was either on Leonard Street when they were based there, or out in, I think it was out in Williamsburg, where they're presently situated. But we had a really good tribute to Jeff. I've done a lot of good stuff at the Knitting Factory and hope to play there again. I did a great tribute to Captain Beefheart there too. I don't mind. In fact, I enjoy doing these tributes because if I ain't gonna do them, who's gonna do them? I'm gonna ask you. Every once in a while, they keep saying there's gonna be a Buckley concert. I know my late friend Hal Wilner was asked to do one. He kind of passed on it at the time, saying, "Well, Jeff didn't release enough work in his lifetime." But hey, I have these 13 songs that I co-wrote with him, of which many are as good as, I would tell you, as Grace and Mojo Pen, but not that well known. But they're there now. You have to get a complete Jeff Buckley and Gary Lucas songbook at Downtown Music Gallery. See how I circle back here with the advertisement for my friend Bruce and Downtown Music Gallery, a fine store, if ever there was one of the few record stores left that carries what nominally would be called outsider music, but it's music that's more or less happening on the inside, if you know what I mean. All right, so it's 11 o'clock. I gotta see the end of Belle de Jour, although I know this film very, very well, and have the script, even in the other room, Benoit shooting script. All right, and I hope you enjoyed my event musical, and I will see you next Saturday at 10:30. Okay, this seems to be my new witching hour in order to play for you guys. All right, see you then. Talk to you soon. Love you guys.